Irish guy and very simple here. I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find one player who you're apparently trying to sign that just looks strange, just very odd. Reading these transfer rumours, they just look so weird. Right, let's go. Arsenal Kai Havertz. What is this? If this is the summer of 2020 and Arsenal were closing in on a deal for Kai Havertz, then yeah, I think the likes of Robbie off AFTV would probably be found dancing naked down Seven Sisters Road. Yeah, I'd sooner look at a piglet licking mud off its mum. But lads, Arsenal are trying to buy Kai Havertz from Chelsea, and it's just all sorts of strange. This guy could legitimately have a statue outside Stamford Bridge, but at the same time, he's also been a £70 million flop. I mean, even to look at him, I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but doesn't he just look like if you gave Cal Freezy a comb? He looks like someone who failed an audition to be in a live-action musical of Shrek. He looks like one of those popular rich boys in private school. You know, the son of a multi-millionaire surgeon who spends his afternoon flushing nerds down the loo. Most Chelsea fans are sick of Kai. I mean, they want to get rid, which is funny, because can anybody think of any other football club in the world who ever wanted to sell somebody who scored the winner for them in a Champions League final? No. I mean, Roger will be a Manchester City king until he's a skeleton in a box. Vinicius Jr. will be forever worshipped at the Bernabeu. Both Kingsley Coman and Arjen Robben could probably eat the Bayern Munich president dog without consequence. Aside from Havertz, I don't know. Maybe Barcelona fans decided that Juliano Belletti, when compared to Dani Alves, was now an old dusty right back who stunk of cheese. But yeah, Chelsea want rid of Havertz, and Arsenal wanting to buy him. It's just weird. Aston Villa, Irving Lozano. I am all for ambitious targets, but lads, Aston Villa are actually trying to buy Irving Lozano, a Mexican winger on wages of £97,000 a week, who's just become a Napoli god after winning Serie A, their first title in over 30 years. Part of me would think that him choosing to chuck Champions League football in a bin in favour of living in Birmingham and travelling to Lithuania on Thursday nights would be about as clever as chucking a grenade into your bowl of Cocoa Pops. But apparently he wants Premier League football, and always has. And considering Villa pay their backup left back nearly double Lozano's 97k a week, then who knows? Give him a £150,000 a week paycheck, and honestly, what a signing this would be. Bournemouth, Justin Kluivert. Yeah, remember all that talk about blokes who scored the winner in the Champions League final? Well, Bournemouth are signing one son, Justin Kluivert. Bournemouth are in talks with Roma over a deal for him. You know, the guy who Jose Mourinho was trying to sign from Manchester United 5 years ago. Turns out that up close, Justin is apparently just another Tom Ince, someone who everybody raved about because of his dad. But in actuality, if his father was instead just a butcher from Wigan, these kids would have had all the hype of a gremlin's foot. Seeing a world icon like Patrick Kluivert, seeing his son put on a Bournemouth shirt and take footballing advice from a former pumpy winger, it's just weird. Brentford, Brennan Johnson. Yeah, so Brentford chucked in a £30 million bid for Nottingham Forest star boy Brennan Johnson. It was quickly rejected. I mean, I think when Evangelos Marinakis received this bid, he probably angrily chucked his goldfish across the room. But lads, I don't think this transfer rumor is done. The reason this is so wacky is because I reckon there's going to be an entire transfer window of Brentford trying to sign this young Welsh bloke. This reminds me when Bournemouth would not take no for an answer. I mean, when Eddie Howe was at the wheel, they tried to buy Demarai Gray so many times. They were obsessed with Gray. They had 5 bids rejected by Birmingham in 2015 alone. Surprised Birmingham didn't take out a restraining order. They were obsessed with Gray. In 2017, he had since become a Premier League champion, and yeah, 3 more bids. This time he was at Leicester. They tried to sign this guy 8 or 9 times. Even now, Hal probably thinks about Damari in the bath while Jason Tyndall feeds him strawberries and reads a chapter from 50 Shades of Grey. I think Johnson to Brentford is going to be a saga longer than The Hobbit. Brighton, Jadon Sancho. What is this? You know all the hype that Jude Bellingham has right now? That's exactly what Jadon Sancho had 3 years ago. He was the king of Borussia Dortmund and linked with Real Madrid. And yet now, at the mere tender age of 23, English football's biggest hope is being linked with Brighton. Their same club with Adam Lallana, James Milner and Danny Welbeck in the team. Honestly, lunchtime in the Brighton canteen must be a baffling affair. Think of all the weird cliques. On one hand, you've got South American teenagers laughing at TikTok on their phones, and then you got the class of 2008. Old granddads who probably read newspapers and watch Faulty Towers on their iPads. Apparently Brighton are preparing a record bid for Sancho, close to £45 million. Sancho is on wages of £350,000 a week. He has got 3 years left in his deal, so he stands to earn £54 million before the year 2026. Being offered a contract at Brighton, even that link alone, it would like being back in a teenage disco, and instead the school janitor asks you for a pity dance. You know, the one who weighs 19 stone and has rat vomit on his chest. Burnley Bart Verbruggen. Yeah, Burnley are linked with Bart Verbruggen. Verbruggen, a 20-year-old goalie for Anderlecht, someone who played for the Netherlands under 18s 9 years ago, and that was the extent of his international career. You'd probably assume he's got the wrist strength of an obese leprechaun, but actually, no. He is in the Dutch senior squad, and only last month he was tipped to replace David De Gea. So he's actually a bit of a goalkeeping wonder kid. So if Burnley can tie up this deal, it'll be one hell of a move. Chelsea, Ethan Nwaneri. Oh, this seems very predatory. No, I'm not talking about the breakfast shows on ITV. No. The Arsenal prodigy, Ethan Nwaneri, made his Premier League debut this season at 15. The guy was surely destined to grow to be an Arsenal superstar. Instead, he's already got Todd Bowley stiffing around his face. Chelsea are trying to steal this guy from Arsenal at just 16. Then again, I suppose Arsenal did the same thing themselves when they stole Cesc Fabregas in Barcelona at the same age. But considering he's actually made his Premier League debut, then to just see him move to Stamford Bridge to do the Ashley Cole move before he's 17, it just feels wrong. Crystal Palace, Lucas Moura. I find this one sad. I touched on Kai Havertz not being shown enough respect for what he did in the Champions League final, but Lucas Moura, he literally scored a hat-trick for Tottenham in the Champions League semi-final, including a last-minute winner for Spurs. That is an unheard of achievement. Go back 10 years and you would have thought there was more chance of you getting Superman to signature wedding than for that to actually happen. And yet now, despite an absolute wonder goal on the final day of the season, Moura is getting tossed out of Tottenham for less than the price of a tube of Pringles. At 30 years old, he's free, single, and about to be offered a deal at Crystal Palace. Can I remind you, this guy's played nearly 300 games for PSG. He has nearly 40 Brazil caps. He was once on Sir Alex Ferguson's shopping list, and he's now a freebie for Roy Hodgson. The only palace he ever thought he'd be going to was the Prince of PSG's for lunch, Everton Moussa Dembele. Everton need goals in their team. Apparently they were hunting down Tammy Abraham before his ACL injury, but I'm sorry, what man with the same brain willingly chooses to swap learning from Jose Mourinho to just get shouted at by Sean Dyche? Apparently they're now turning their head to Plan B Moussa Dembele. But why? I realise he's a former PSG Academy striker who was an absolute superstar at Celtic, and for a while there was a Leon goal machine too. I mean, it was only 3 years ago Chelsea literally submitted a £34 million bid. I mean, we all talk about the Chelsea striker curse. Can you imagine how horrific this bloke would have been at Stamford Bridge? It'd be like watching Lukaku if Lukaku played every match without toes. Dembele's career has fallen off a cliff. He's since been to Atletico Madrid on loan, 0 goals in 7 games. Last season, 3 goals in 28 matches for Lyon. At 26, he's lost his touch. Everton choosing to buy someone off the back of a 3-goal season in the French league, where his teammate Lacazette scored 10 times that amount. Just no! Leave it, Sean. Dembele should reunite with Brendan Rodgers at Celtic, but this? No! Fulham Demarai Gray. Yeah, we're talking about Demarai Gray again. Listen, you know what? I don't hate this transfer at all. Gray has a year left on his Everton deal, and actually it's looked like a pretty nifty buy. They signed him for less than £2 million from Bayer Leverkusen, and he's been quality. I mean, don't forget the wonder goals against Arsenal and Man City. What is weird though, is this man's complete lack of stability if this deal goes through. This will be the 5th transfer of his career, and his 3rd move in just 2.5 years. I mean, Gray, if you're gonna go somewhere, just go to Bournemouth. Liverpool, Kefren Turam. Okay, Liverpool are not actually looking at James Ward-Prowse, alright, relax. Although it would have been fun to see him and Trent squabble over free kicks. No, Liverpool are trying to sign Kefren Turam from Nice, an all-action 22-year-old midfielder. What's funny though, is that this guy wasn't actually supposed to be Lilian Thuram's golden son. I mean, wasn't that supposed to be Marcus? That Borussia Mönchengladbach goal machine? Yeah, he's since seen his halo dampen after spitting in someone's face and diving in a World Cup final. Marcus is available on a free. He's currently unemployed, and it turns out that little brother Kefren was actually the star son all along. This has been like how everybody took a few years to realise that actually Jake Paul was actually a bigger deal than Logan all along. I mean, which one did Nate Diaz want to fight? I just can't get over it. How does Lilian Thuram? Not only did he earn 142 caps for France, but even his DNA has spawned 2 sons who are in the current France squad. Someone needs to do medical testing in because his DNA is probably more impressive than Magneto's. Luton Town, Asmir Begovic. I want Luton Town to do well this season, but it does not inspire me with any hope when I see them locked in talks with Asmir Begovic. Don't get me wrong, the man used to be top quality while at Portsmouth and Stoke, but he's since become a Chelsea bench warmer, then a Bournemouth flop, an AC Milan nobody. 3 years ago, he's playing in the Azerbaijan League. And yeah, he barely featured for Everton. This guy has played 4 Premier League games in 4 years. He must be rustier than the Dead Mechanics tools. He is probably more wooden than any of the acting of Holly Yokes. Luton trying to buy this nearly 40-year-old Bosnian. Recipe for disaster. Just go out there and get someone a bit more modern like Martin Dubravka. Not this aging has-been cheerleader. If this deal goes through, then Premier League Luton will have a worse #1 than Wrexham, a newly promoted club in League 2. Man City Declan Rice. Why? First of all, can someone please inform me, why did Man City want to tie up a deal for Chelsea's Mateo Kovacic? That's a very strange one, but even weirder than that, they've entered the race for Declan Rice. Lads, how greedy are this club? Remember back at Euro 2020 and everybody was salivating over England's midfield partnership of Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice? Yeah, Man City are now trying to have both on their books. And let's be real, neither one of them are going to start. Surely not. Man City have just seen Arsenal had an £80 million bid rejected by West Ham, and they've still entered the race, knowing they're going to have to pay about 100 million quid. If this deal comes off, then both Rice and Grealish, two Irish bad boys, will both be £100 million Man City buys. I don't want to hate Man City, I really don't, but the sight of both Rice and Grealish lifting the Premier League title next May, whilst both earning what, a combined £800,000 a week, whilst I have to wash my clothes in the toilet and steal Kit Kats from children. No, I can't actually comprehend this transfer going through. I can't. I just can't. Both these guys costing 100 million quid, and they could have played for Ireland. One of them already did. Man United Mason Mount. This would be a clever transfer. I just never saw this coming a year or two ago. I mean, in everybody's head, Mason Mount was Chelsea blue for life. So if this deal comes off, if this actually goes through, it'll be weird for everyone. Newcastle, Nico Barella. Newcastle fans, calm down. The news broke yesterday that Newcastle were closing in on a £50 million deal for a Champions League finalist, Euro 2020 winner Nico Barella. What actually transpired is that Newcastle haven't actually submitted any transfer bids or even held talks with his agent. They just like him from afar, which is a little bit creepy. It's a bit like that strange nerd in school who keeps staring at the cheerleader through a telescope. Newcastle, if you want Barella, then just make a move. Go and talk to him. Don't just stand there telling journalists that you like him when he's just days out from nearly winning the Champions League. This fella is a quality midfielder, but am I the one who just doesn't see him leaving Serie A? And a £50 million bid, you might as well offer the Inter Milan president 3 Pokemon cards and a packet of crisps. It'll cost 80 mil at least. Nottingham Forest, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Yeah, apparently Nottingham Forest want to sign Callum Hudson-Odoi from Chelsea on a permanent deal, and you know what? I don't hate the deal. It makes perfect sense. Steve Cooper worked with this winger in the England underage teams and turned him into a world champion. Sort of. I mean, in the same way he chose to buy Morgan Gibbs White. Yeah, Cooper's probably gonna raid more of these teenage talents from that England photo hanging on his wall. I'm convinced if Ryan Brewster's x-rays didn't make him look like a grandma just falling down the stairs, then he'd be a Forest too. But what makes this weird is that if this does go through, how depressing. Remember what I said about Bournemouth obsessing over Gray for years? Yeah, that was Bayern Munich and Hudson-Odoi. They kept trying to buy him when Frank Lampard was in charge, and Chelsea always said no. Christ above. Bayern submitted a loan bid with an option to buy for £70 million. And so to instead, just to wind up, what, celebrating your 23rd birthday party, stuck in a dressing room with John Joe Shelby and Chris Wood? Oh, poor Callum. Sheffield United, Kyle Walker. Is this a joke? What is this? All the media are today reporting that Kyle Walker, after his Champions League final snub and that patronising press conference where he said he couldn't play his system anymore, apparently is now going to quit Manchester City and move to either the Saudi Pro League or Sheffield United. Okay. Deep breaths. Right now, I would imagine that Walker is probably still downing pints of champagne with the devil on his shoulder pleading for him to whip out his knob in KFC. Imagine him then reading reports he's going to move to Bramall Lane. Journalists seem to love a fairy tale story. I mean, they've been trying to fix up James Miller at Leeds for half a decade. A bit like your annoying grandma who keeps wanting you to go on a blind date with her dog. Yeah, she has dementia. Walker is on wages of £160,000 a week. Sheffield United's highest paid wage is to Sander Berg, 32k a week. Yeah, I'm sure Walker would love to live beside his mum and buy her 17 ice creams a day. I mean, yeah, he's only actually played 30 games for his boyhood club. He probably wants more. But not now. Has there ever been a football player in history who's won the treble as a key player and then immediately dropped down like this? No. Tottenham, Conor Gallagher. Yeah, so Tottenham are trying to move away from having average sludge pies in their team, right? So here they are trying to pinch Conor Gallagher from Chelsea. But it's just so underwhelming, surely. West Ham, James Ward-Prowse. Apparently West Ham are interested in James Ward-Prowse. And it's not actually that weird though, is it? Wolves, Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati was going to win the Ballon d'Or. This fella was seen as the future GOAT. He was scoring for Barcelona at age 16. Honestly, he was the next Messi. I don't think anybody thought that once he exited his teens, he'd have grown up to just be used as a make-weight pawn so they could sign Ruben Neves from Wolves. If this transfer goes through, and I hear on the radio that Fatty is at Molineux, I'll be very confused who gave a season ticket to Susan Boyle. Okay, sorry. That was such an unnecessary dig. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know what do you think. Let me know in the comments. What is the weirdest one to you? Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, comment as always. I'll talk to you in a while.